Good day, friends. It's 22nd of November. Heading off into Moscow in this snow/rain porridge that we have out on the roads. So, it is what it is. Nature is. And in the south, in Ukraine, this is starting up. It was pretty cold. Well, relatively cold for us. It's not that cold. For you all, it's cold. It was starting to freeze up in the ground, and we've had this little warm trend for a couple of days of rain and ice, and then it'll go freezing back down. So in the south, it's doing the same thing, a delay, of course, a week delay. So it's still counting down for when the ground freezes and the Ukrainian and Mercs get crushed. It's coming, no matter what your governments are telling you or lying to you. The good thing about, being in the Western media, which is amazing, it's like being a weatherman or a card reader or an economist. You don't have to answer for any of your BS mistakes or just BS lies. That's the beauty of it. Today your government tells you one thing, tomorrow your government just doesn't tell you that anymore. And you as good sheep are supposed to always be adapted to whatever today's bullshit is. And most of the West is good sheep, and they adapt to whatever bullshit they're fed. Of course, that's the only thing they're getting. Some countries in the West already at the point where that's the only thing they're getting fed for most people. Because food is still on the shelves for the most part. It's just the prices are so high that most people can't afford it. That was an interesting article I read. The level of theft of produce products, food products in the UK went up almost 20% over the last 2 months. I call that foreshadowing. When you have a choice, feed your family or keep the temperature at 16 Celsius and wear 2 layers of clothes. And the other problem is GASP in Germany. Mold. That's right. When you live in big stone buildings, almost any building for that matter, but you live in the stone buildings in particular that the stone doesn't breathe, but humans do. Every time we breathe out, we're breathing out vapor, and that vapor builds up, and when it's not hot enough for it to dry out because it's not heated and it doesn't have that dry heat, and it's cool, 16°C, moist, that's just perfect for mold, and especially that black mold. And boy, does that thing take off, and it grows all over the place, covers everything, gets into your clothes, never mind what it does to your lungs. So all you Euros have got more problems, but you're basically going Middle Ages. I mean, that's what you're going back to. Anybody that's formerly middle class and lower. Because the upper class will still be able to afford it. They'll afford their heat. They don't care how much it has to pay. So they pay a few thousand more or a few hundred more euros. They're not going to notice it. Not the top 5%. Definitely not the top 3%. The rest of you schmucks, well, life's going to be a bitch. But at least you're going to know how your ancestors lived. Picking wood, burning garbage. I had an argument, well, I won't say an argument, but a debate with a friend of mine who doesn't speak to me much right now. He's German, his wife's Russian. They live in the U.S., and they came over here about a year ago. Actually, about almost exactly a year ago. I told him, this is coming. And he said, no, it's not coming. It's coming. And one of the things Europe's going to learn is who needs who more. He's like, yes, that's right. Russia's going to learn it can't live without Europe. I'm like, no, Jurgen, you're going to be disappointed to learn. It's not Russia that needs Europe. Or let me rephrase that. It's not Russia that needs the EU. Because we own a third of Europe. However much Euros look at us as animals who happen to be occupying a third of their Europe, which has never been their Europe. For 1,000 years, they've been trying to make it their Europe. You dig anywhere west of Moscow long enough, you'll come up on some European bones. We have been burying them for generations, but they keep coming. And Americans, of course, being Europeans for the most part, seem to want to get in on this act too. Plenty of places to bury corpses of the enemy. We should stop coming and wisen up, but I guess that's just not in the genetic code in the West. Oh well. But anyways, some interesting news today. We've gotten the war rhetoric out of the way. From the defender of Western values, the epitome of democracy, Ukraine. That's right. That is, after all, the bullshit that your governments are telling you. And most of you are sucking up. Ignorance, yes. Why bother actually looking at reality? A guy that banned all the opposition parties, 12 parties banned. The guy that's murdered his opponents, imprisoned others. We got one guy back. Well, back. He's never a Russian citizen, but he was in a exchange. Political opponent of Zelensky, who he had arrested, beaten, the whole works. He's confiscated their properties. He's unified all the media in Ukraine under his rule. Democracy. That is what America is all built on, right there. There's your democracy, right there. Freedom of speech with a bullet in the head if you disagree with the government. Yep. So, in Russia, we call this the Ukrainization of Europe and America. And it's going at breakneck speeds. So, in totally upholding Western and American values, today, the Zelensky SBU is the security service of Ukraine, the FBI of Ukraine, with a lot of muscle in it. Think SWAT and FBI as one thing. They're conducting raids on the holy cave monasteries in Kiev, on various women's monasteries, and so on. Because the Satanists and the pagans and the heretics, they don't particularly like the Orthodox Church. So, in the name of freedom and democracy, they're arresting priests and monks and nuns right now. In an effort to find enough reason to publicly confiscate the properties. Properties of the church have been in the hands of the church for the last 1,000 years. The Mongols wouldn't even do that. The Mongols actually respected religion. Unlike the West, satanic West. Well, I can't say they don't respect religion. The West has a religion. It's Satan. In its various forms, the Prince of Lies is the owner of the West. And all the peasants in the West seem to bend their knee to him, one way or the other, and they don't want to admit it to themselves. But you're all bending your knee to Satan. That's right. It's the church, lady. Satan, Satan, Satan. Yeah, but he is who rules you. And keep bending that knee, and God's going to give his retribution. It ain't going to be pretty. Because all of you who could have done something to stop this war and stop the murder of priests, to stop the murder of innocent women and children, for 8 years you did nothing. Oh, hell no. On the other hand, you cheered it on. You're cheering it on right now. Look, even in Germany, what was the latest census? About 18% of the population woke up to something ain't right in the state of Deutschland. I guess with the cold and the freezing and the hunger, they might grow a bit more. But the peasants are the peasants, and they're peasants for a reason. So keep on going. Keep on going. We've pretty much cut Europe out of most things, and we're not coming back. I mean, we're taking our portion of Europe and turning it around. Now, if you come over the border, it's going to be nasty and ugly. It already is for all those hundreds of dead Poles, and now Romanian corpses joining them on the battlefield. They're all mercs. Whole battalions of Poles are now mercs, as they changed the patch on to Ukrainian. Poland wants that war. It just doesn't want to do it by itself. So it thinks it's going to be able to grab land everywhere. So they're pushing toward Belarus to start a war there. You're gonna get a world war, especially you Americans. Just understand that you're gonna get your world war. You look at your little boys; they're gonna get drafted because the corpse rate is gonna be incredible. If you think it's not, and this is a conventional war. I'm even talking nuclear. If nuclear goes, well, bye-bye all of America, bye-bye us too, bye-bye, and Europe in particular. Personally, I would have told the Poles, under any circumstances, no matter what level of exchange, Poland will get carpet bombed with nuclear weapons and exterminated. Turned into a desert, once and for all. Since that's the only thing the Poles ever did understand. But anyways, that's me being crazed. The other thing that would just sweeten the heart of anybody in Washington, I mean, not only is Zelensky doing his damnedest to destroy the Orthodox Church and Christianity in Ukraine, and actively right now, today as a matter of fact, now they've been grabbing churches on and off for the last 8 years. But now, I mean, they're going after the big ones, the big holy of holies. But Zelensky, and this is just will warm the heart of Pelosi and every other despicable in D.C., which is the vast majority of the population in D.C. They've modified the law on legalizing stolen property for government officials. Previously, they actually had a law, not that they ever particularly enforced it, that, you know, if you stole government property, which is the, I can't even say the hobby, that's the main job of any politician in Ukraine, is to steal everything that they can. And American money's getting stolen so well now. Well, minus the cut for the big guy in his party. So without FDP, that's going to be a little more difficult. But they'll find another way to get around it. Another crypto exchange, pseudo exchange. There'll always be someone else to help them money laundering your future or your present. Hell, your future's gone. It's your present that they're money laundering now. If they could reach in the past, they'd do that too. So anyways, yeah, so they modified it. So the original law was there was no limit of date of expiration on persecuting for stolen property, government stolen property. Now there is 3 years. So you steal enough, you go out, you loiter it somewhere for 3 years, and it officially becomes yours. That's the government retirement plan of Ukraine. Screw the peasants, feed the lords. And if that one of those lords happens to be the druggy son of one of the top leaders in the world, hey, that's even better. He gets you big kudos. So there you go, Hunter. Don't worry. It's been over 3 years now that for whatever you stole, the billions you helped money launder out. It's all legal as far as Ukraine's concerned. So there you go. That's another reason to fight hard in the war. Because if Ukraine loses, all those billions that America loaned, along with the rest of Europe, because nobody gave them anything for free, it's all loans, it's all credit, you don't get any of that back. Who's going to pay you back? It'll be Russian territory, and then go pound sand all you want. Even if you claim reparations, yeah, America and England claiming Russia has to pay reparations. There's almost no country in the world that either America or England didn't attack in the last 300 years. Let's start paying reparations. There was a good joke. Why are the Giza pyramids in Egypt? Because the Museum of London couldn't steal them. There you go. The I mean, the French aren't much better. They're still stealing gold out of Africa. Who west of Poland, in this case, isn't a massive thief out of the West? They all are. Genociders, thieves. I mean, hell, England was a poor pirate shithole island until they started mass theft out of India. Anywhere from 10 to 70 trillion dollars worth of property was stolen out of India. And never mind, all the rice Churchill stole in 1941 and starved 6-7 million Indians to death. Never mind how many suffered. That's just the ones that died. So yeah. So these are the folks that are now telling you about human rights and democracy. Countries like Australia that were running concentration camps for their aborigines in the 60s and 70s. America, who was doing forced sterilization of Indian women, American Indian women, up to the 1980s. Through the end of the 1970s for sure. Oh yeah, these are the guys that are telling everyone else how they're supposed to live. I mean, for God's sakes, if that isn't Satanism in its true form, masters of lies. Except the light is shining and the lies are getting exposed. And hopefully the peasants in these countries will wake up before they turn into atomic ash or meet on a battlefield. For nothing that's going to help you. It's going to only worsen your lot in life. But it's a good way to shut you the hell up. Throw you in the trench somewhere on an attack when you get chewed up by our bullets or tanks. And then you can just shut up in hell or in heaven, whatever God decides for you. But you sure as hell won't be saying anything to politicals. Are going to be living it up. Already living it up. Have been living it up. And will be living it up. Only at your expense. So anyways, good luck. Have fun. God bless. And support Ukraine for everything you've got, because they have real American values there. And Western values. Theft, satanic programs against the church, murder, concentration of all media under government control, destruction of opposition parties. Yep, modern Western values. Have fun.